Let's bring you through the newspapers this morning. So, clean slate. Europe's finest resumed quest for the big prize. Big Cup is back tonight, and it's back with a bang. PSG against Liverpool is about as tasty an opening fixture as you could get.
Yeah, brilliant. Liverpool reaching the final last season. Thomas Tuchel going back to Anfield after that amazing game they had, Liverpool and Dortmund, a few years ago. Of course, he was Klopp's successor at Dortmund, and Liverpool have started the season so well. 5 wins in a row? First time that's happened since 1990 in the Premier League. There's only been one change to the Liverpool team. I think there was Henderson came in for Keita one match. I think Henderson's going to play tonight, but apart from that, a very settled team. And you got the likes of Mbappe, Neymar, Cavani. It's going to be a mouth-watering game at Anfield at 8 o'clock tonight.
So the other stories there at the front. Duffy to the rescue. Ireland star inspires Brighton comeback at Southampton. Big Shane Duffy.
Yeah,
he scores them one end, he stops them at the other.
Well, it only came 2 minutes after Southampton got their second goal, so that really got Brighton back into the game. The second time they'd done it, they did it against Fulham as well. Empty seats, which I found interesting at St Mary's last night.
Really, for a local derby?
Yeah, I was checking out the ticket prices, about £35 sterling, but a lot of empty seats I saw. But I knew the moment that penalty was given for Glenn Murray, I just got Mark Hughes, the referee. I was like almost opening the book on it. He's going to start. What's he going to say with the referee? And he goes, "Yeah, it's a soft penalty."
Yeah, Mark Hughes.
It's just funny. It was just funny. I'm sorry. Bit of schadenfreude.
Taking on Mark Hughes and Leicester this season. Lay down law. Kelly calls for zero tolerance on indiscipline. This is the former GAA president, Sean Kelly, saying that the GAA needs to send out a loud message that indiscipline will not be tolerated. This is the continuing issue around the game at the weekend in which Sean Kavanagh suffered those injuries that you'll have seen the pictures of. Tyrone County Board has committed to investigating incidents in 2 club games over the weekend, which produced 11 red cards, 3 black cards and a vicious all-in brawl. So they're the 2 fixtures that have made it to the public domain, one because a picture appears on Twitter and one because a video appears.
We'd like to see maybe a video of the Moy game and Eden Dork game. 6 red cards and 20 other cards?
Yeah.
20 yellow and a black.
No straight reds though. There's no extreme violence in the
only 27
game.
Cards, that's all. I saw the statement that they brought out last night when they said, obviously they're condemning any kind of violence, and and we wish our best to the players who suffered injury, whether accidental or otherwise. I thought that was a strange word to put in there.
Do you think they're leaving open the prospect that they, if video footage emerges, then at that point they will actually act on it, as opposed to, if you don't give us the video footage, we can't do anything. There's like a bit of back and forth.
There's got to be video footage. There's got to be video footage. We could do it seeing it. And Peter Canavan was on last night on Today FM, and he was talking about some people said it was accidental, and there wasn't a clarity necessarily around the incident, and he was defending Tyrone, and I could understand that. They have come under the spotlight, and I think that the chip shop nature of that was the first game, the Stewartstown match.
Yeah.
That doesn't look good, and I suppose it came a few months after the under-20 match between Armagh and Tyrone, which you had, I think, 10 players suspended, and then I think 8 of them got off. I think they were Armagh players. So, look, it doesn't look good, and it's up to the county board need to show strength on this, and Croke Park maybe need to look at it because it's just not good for the image of the game. But I do think it's less prevalent than it was, because actually smartphones are actually probably a deterrent for this.
You hope, definitely. You might have seen the footage of the attempted robbery in the bookmakers in Cork.
The grandfather.
He's 84.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought, that looked like a man in his 60s. What the hell is he doing getting involved? He's 84.
But it just showed how cowardly they were. Once they were confronted that they did a legger themselves.
I presume the gun was empty. I mean, I hope it was.
Yeah, I think Tommy, the producer, was saying that it's a no fear situation, and it's maybe if you've lived a long life, you actually, what, you're interrupting my betting day. Like I'm a pensioner here. I'm having a bet, and you're really interrupting this with a hammer and a sawn off.
Yeah,
it was pretty mad.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of kicked the shit out of the guy with the hammer.
People of the Ear Awards.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why we have them, I suppose. I keep fit. I go to the gym and I do a bit of swimming. I suppose you could say I'm fit. Well, yeah, Jesus. Was he all right afterwards? Like no cuts and bruises. I didn't see, but
he looked fine. I mean, I'm sure there's a degree of adrenaline, and he's probably a little bit shook afterwards. But that's just not what you want to see. It's like, in all seriousness, it's pretty unsavoury stuff to see.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely wouldn't recommend people taking on who knows what the hell people who are robbing the bookies are on, how high they are. on adrenaline and whatever else. Right, let's move on. Roscommon set to target Dublin Ladies boss Bowen. This is the story that John's already mentioned. Mick Bowen has been apparently targeted by the Roscommon County Board. He's obviously saying that he's playing down speculation at the moment.
Bit of a could story. Oh, he could be. I didn't think it had that much strength to it.
He's been linked with...
don't like these linked could stories.
He's been linked with a lot of things. Well, one that happened yesterday was Cian O'Neill being linked with Munster. It's been shot down by Munster today, saying that they have no information about that. Now, I guess if you were going to do it, and you were trying to appoint somebody, and that was an open competition, then you would say, nope, nothing to see here, folks. But I think it's probably good news for Kildare if he doesn't get that Munster gig. But obviously, if he wants the Munster gig, it's great news for him. Levy and O'Brien hand Ireland and Leinster double fitness boost. So Dan Levy is going to be fit to go at the weekend. Sean O'Brien probably going to be fit to go the weekend afterwards. So who plays 7? Brian O'Driscoll was pretty clear about this. He's like, Sean O'Brien plays, and then you build the team around him because he's like the best player in the world.
Yeah,
when he's fit. So
hope he stays fit. I think it's been hip and shoulder problems he's had over the last year. Yeah,
he looked pretty lean when he was in
for the horse racing.
Yeah. For Friday Night Racing a couple of weeks back. So look, I mean, he can play 6, he can play 8, he can play 7.
It's a good problem to have. I think the more the issue is Conor Murray's position at the moment, and for the World Cup, that's more probably of an issue that we need Sexton and Murray fit. Yeah. Look, there's no point in us pretending that we can survive an injury to either of those two. Not with South Africa research.
But you probably have to plan for an injury to both of them and hope that some miracle happens.
Yeah, I think with Carberry, obviously that's a good thing that he's gone to Munster. He's going to get that game time. But I'd be more worried about Murray's position.
Club believes Liverpool have unfinished business after Kiev. Final defeat to Real Madrid has hardened teams' resolve to go one step further. This is all pre-tournament platitudes. Let's see how they get on tonight against PSG. The talking is done on the pitch, I believe, is the appropriate cliche. And Manchester City and Raheem Sterling have reached an impasse in contract discussions. With the clock ticking, he will enter the final year of his deal in the summer.
They'll sort that. That's just agent talk.
Yeah, but if you're him, you're like,
where's he going to go? Where's Raheem Sterling, who has been very well managed by Pep Guardiola? Where's he going to go and get it?
Somewhere they pay him more money, John.
Yeah.
Somewhere they give him the transfer fee that he's worth. Because he's worth between 50 to 100 million, depending on whoever's going to pay the money, right?
I'd hope he's mature enough to know he's on a good number where he is.
I'll have like half of that up front in cash and then the same wages I'm on. It's hard to turn down 25 million.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about this. I'm not even thinking about money.
Is he mature enough to turn down 25 million? Or silly enough?
City will sort it out for him.
Fanning named as Waterford manager. We haven't spoken about this yet. So Mount Sion's Pádraig Fanning is the new Waterford hurling boss.
Grandfather was president of the GA.
Right.
And he's also from Austin Gleeson's club, which I think is a big important thing because he's the most important player in the Waterford team.
You call that steeped?
Yes, you do.
In the culture. Yeah, like it's interesting they've gone for an inside person.
Well, he was part of Davy's backroom team in 2008 when they reached the All-Ireland final. He was also working with Davy at Wexford, and he worked with Cheddar Plunkett at Laois. So he's done his time in terms of backroom teams. I think he'd probably be a good choice on sure side, and they haven't got an outsider in. I think that was the talk that they would after 5 years of Derek McGrath. It didn't seem like Derek McGrath did 5 years, but I think that's the thing with managers are often there longer than you think.
Yeah. Pat Gilroy obviously not.
There you go. Is Derek McGrath in line for the Dublin job now?
Gone after a year. Jesus, I didn't even think of that.
You know, Anthony Cunningham, Matty Kenny, of course, you got the 2 Galway lads, Kula, and the backroom team, and Cunningham's been in. But Derek McGrath, you never know. Could be a left field choice.
It'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
He'd actually be perfect for it.
Yeah.
The style of play would be perfect.
So if it does happen, you know where you heard it first.
Yeah.
Not that I know anything, any folks, I don't know anything.
All right, we'll stick it out there and see what he has to say. Obviously, as you said, Anthony Cunningham and Matty Kenny, who of course have history of having worked together in the past themselves. So it'd be interesting if Matty Kenny was to get the gig, would he keep as much of the setup in situ?
Well, I think there's been a huge improvement. I think the players have bought into Pat Gilroy and his team.
That's the issue, isn't it?
And were they doing that before? So they were unlucky against Kilkenny, and they pushed Wexford and Galway very well on the round robin. And what you want to do is, the round robin is pretty merciless. If you're out of it, as Waterford found out, and Tipperary found out, that it can bring changes. But I think in Dublin's case, it was just a case of Pat Gilroy's got work commitments.
Yeah.
So with the tabloids that I have here, holy cow, Trippier and Toby axed and shock Spurs shake-up. Then Poch talks a load of old bullocks. This is the quote: "It's like a cow that every single day during 10 years sees the train crossing in front of the same what's it again? Time. And if you ask the cow what time is the train going to come, it's not going to have the right answer. In football, it's the same." So he's effectively saying that experience doesn't count for anything. But I think the tabloids are trying to make it more of a meal than it is. Alderweireld and Trippier were one of the 9 Spurs players, or 2 of the 9 Spurs players that reached the World Cup final weekend. I think there's a degree of fatigue around Tottenham at the moment. They've lost 2 matches. I think it's no coincidence that Lucas Moura and Harry Winks and Eric Lamela were the most impressive players of the day. They had easy summers, and that's the worry for Spurs, that they're a little bit fatigued. I think a couple of years ago I think they only had 1 win in 10 matches from mid-October onwards. Right. And there's that little bit of a slump, that there's a bit of a danger with Spurs. But good memories of the San Siro, where they had the biggest ever win in the Champions League against AC Milan a few years ago. Peter Crouch scoring the winner there, and Gareth Bale scoring a hat-trick against Inter a few years ago as well. So you don't know with Spurs, but after such a brilliant performance at Old Trafford, it's a bit of a disappointing couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens tonight. But I'd expect maybe Aurier will come into the team, and Davinson Sanchez will come into the team.
This is the bit where you don't sign players in the summer and it actually
Well, that's it. They're the only team in the Champions League who haven't signed a player. It's funny, I was actually WhatsApping my nephew, who's a season ticket holder at Spurs last night, Duncan, and I said, "What's this going on?" He was at the Liverpool game and he says, "Look, they didn't sign anybody. Yeah. Look what Liverpool have done with Van Dijk. I know Van Dijk came in earlier the year, but Fabinho, Keita, Alisson and Chachiri."
And even like Keita was signed a year ago.
Yeah.
Even if Spurs were thinking long term, if there was some activity that they could point to and say, "We are investing in the team, we're investing in the new stadium, we're just buying a bit of time here, lads." It's
too easy to give the stadium as an excuse, as far as if you want to be at the elite level of world sport.
Your team has to be ready for the stadium.
Nay stopping him. Jurgen Klopp admits it'll be virtually impossible to stop Neymar at Anfield tonight, but he insists Liverpool will not resort to kicking him out off the park in the Champions League showdown against Paris Saint-Germain. Defending Neymar in the World Cup, and I would agree with that, having been there and seen some of the treatment Neymar got. Neymar was looking to protect himself, and Liverpool are not really the type of team, I think, to kick players. Paris no match. Bullish Klopp wouldn't swap his strike force for anyone. No, not even PSG's 420 million. Mbappe, Neymar and Cavani, the dream team there.
The Peter Canavan aspect to this, and you were saying he was on The Last Word last night. There's an interesting kind of duality. The Star saying that he's wondering if there's an agenda against him, and the Mirror saying that if this was deliberate, then you can't sit back and ignore it. So,
well, I think he can say both.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
I think he can say both. He can say, look, there's a degree of focus on Tyrone, which is that fair? Because this probably does go on. This is an issue more wider in the 32 counties.
I mean, it is an issue, right? But there's a bang of whataboutery about that. Like, the current piece of information we have.
Yeah, the facts we have.
Now, Donegal, we're getting it last week because there was an under-14 match where the referee was locked in the dressing room, and then there was a brawl in a senior match. Maybe the referee was locked in the dressing room in the senior match. Anyway, it's hard to remember which of the current violence against referees and mass brawls we're supposed to be dealing with, but the most recent ones are
the 2 ones in Toronto.
One of the most famous footballers in the country who's just released a book.
Yeah. But also in the book talking about being spat on and bitten. So it's not, and I think that a lot of that, and the photo was published. He wouldn't have been published surely without his knowledge or imprimatur.
It's funny, he didn't publish it, somebody else published it. But
surely he would have said, take it down.
Well, exactly.
So look, I think first of all we have to see what Tyrone's reaction to this is. But I think there needs to be Tom Ryan or John Horan. They need to come out and say, look, this is not on as a cultural thing in our organisation. If this happened on a Friday night at 1 o'clock outside the chip shop, would the police be called? And would this be before the courts, this kind of stuff?
You would hope so. You would hope so.
So that's, I think, really the issue here. And it's a case of what money talks in life. And, I don't know whether they could issue, I'll have to go through Congress or whatever, but is there some kind of sanctions they could bring in, financial sanctions for these kind of things? Can teams be just thrown out of the championship?
Clubs disbanded?
So
you can't do this anymore.
You just can't do it anymore. And if you have a zero tolerance approach, does this happen in hurling? If you have a zero tolerance approach to all these things, it'll be pretty quickly sorted. The Herald, we had this Ross Common chasing Mick, the Mick Bowen story, and Klopp, we start again. Reds are like virgins on your request, says Jurgen. And then a couple of interesting pieces today, Ger. The Racing Post is always good with these supplements they bring out. brought one out for the World Cup, and they got one again for the Champions League. 32 pages. Mark Langdon. Premier powerhouses can conquer Europe. Manchester City and Liverpool should fear nobody on the continent. I'd also agree with that. I think City and Liverpool are two teams that are going to be going very close to the Champions League.
City are favourites overall for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just, you know,
9-2 favourites. Barcelona 6s.
I don't know. What are Real Madrid?
Real Madrid are 8-1.
Like,
they've lost the X factor. They've lost Zidane and they lost Ronaldo.
I know, but they're still Real Madrid, who've just managed somehow to be really crap all season and win the Champions League. Like, they still have a really brilliant team, and they have the know-how how to do it. They've got Luka Modric. They've got Gareth Bale. I just think that, like, is it 9-2 for City?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, show me the last time that City won a European Cup, and how long is it since Pep won a European Cup?
2011.
Been a while.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's 8 years not even getting to the final. Liverpool are 12-1, 14-1 in places. So they're more an interesting bet for me. Liverpool. Atletico Madrid, solid enough. The actual final is in Atletico Madrid's ground.
Yeah.
The Wanda Metropolitano, which I'm hoping to go to. And this is a great article to finish the papers, Ger. Roy Keane. Henry Winter. Keane has lots to offer, but he needs to cool the fire. Henry Winter is the doyen, the most esteemed.
The richest.
British soccer writer, so I think you pay attention to whatever he said. I saw this last night online. I said, well, I've got to read this, because I thought Eamon Sweeney's article over the weekend was one of the best articles, whether you agree with it or not, one of the best articles I've read all year about Roy Keane, about how culture has changed, and how maybe some of the tactics are beginning to fade away in a different society. So this is the way even it opens is just really, really good from Henry Winter, who was in Galway last weekend at a friend's birthday celebrations, listening to the kind of the debate over Roy Keane and whether he's right or whether he's wrong and the way he treats players, or the way he deals players, or maybe tries to motivate players in his own mind. Shortly before Roy Keane finished his UEFA Pro licence at Warwick University in 2008, he chatted to tutors, marvelling at his coursework, the tutors considering some of the most innovative they've witnessed. And then just various quotes in this really hard-hitting article at times. Keane, inhibited by his dysfunctional character, is hopeless at man management, the most important quality for a leader in the dressing room, along with recruitment and ability to react during matches, and tends to lash out verbally. Players are humans with different triggering points. It cannot be the easiest life on the road as a coach, living in hotels with a minibar lurking in the corner of the room. This is Keane. This is also football, home to competitive individuals, warriors who struggle in retirement. All this decrying, Keane ignores one of the saddest narratives of football, coming to terms with life on the sidelines. It's this anger from a flawed individual that needs to be scrutinised by a sport concerned about the welfare of its practitioners, past and present, not simply dismissed as the ramblings of a madman. And those who patronise Keane as have limited intellect have clearly never met him. But he said Winter says he picked the wrong targets in Arthur and Walters, both of whom have experienced difficulties in their own lives.
Yeah.
I'm just and then finishing off, lauding Keane. He was that good. Keane could defend us as a player and attack, always leading, never hiding, just incinerating opponents with a pass and stare. He just needs to put the flamethrower away now. A bit more subtlety required, a bit more. Ferguson had that ability to just be on the plane of fear and support. And I think that's really the whole theme of this piece.
If you look at the evolution of Cristiano Ronaldo under Alex Ferguson, you wonder, like, Keane obviously loved him as a player and said he had a lot of time from the get-go, but you do wonder how he would have treated him as a manager. Would he have been able to get the most out of that character, where Ronaldo stands in front of the mirror and goes, Messi's not as beautiful as me. Like, you just wonder if that's the subtlety that is at the moment not on evidence or on display yet from Keane, the manager. I still think,
or assistant manager.
Yeah, I still think that he's going to be one of the best and most interesting football pundits who draws attention. And if I was in charge,
does he want to be a football pundit though? He wants to be a manager.
Well, I think that if BT or Sky were to come along and go, "This is the Thierry Henry money. What do you think, Roy?" He'd be like, "Ooh, Thierry Henry money,
Raheem Sterling money."
Oh yeah, exactly. Either of those.
Interesting you say about Ferguson there. The one player Ferguson, I wouldn't say indulged, but he managed him a little bit differently to other players, was Eric Cantona. But the Kung Fu kick happened, and he's just the way he supported him at the time. And I felt that Ferguson knew there were some certain players and people he definitely just fell out with, as a Gordon Strachan or Jaap Stam or whoever. But he realised elite level, world class players needed a certain not indulging, but they just need to be treated a little bit differently. And I think that Ronaldo is a key example. Messi the same. Even when I actually don't think about Liverpool, does Salah need to be treated? I think Salah's quite a calm character. But yeah, you have to realise that human beings are very complex, and with the money in the game now, the footballers are they're probably more wrapped in cotton wool than the old days. And I think Keane was from that era and has straddled both eras, and it's difficult probably to reconcile in your head. Well, this is how I played. It was Clough. It was all these days, and now the game has changed where the players are more powerful because of the money in the game.
Yeah.